we bring in my great friend from Pennsylvania, Senator Pat Toomey. There he is. Senator Toomey, welcome back. As always, sir.
Hey, Larry.
Now, you were at the hearing today with Yellen and Powell, and I just want to ask you if anyone brought up the subject of Fed independence from all this woke budget spending and borrowing. You know, if they keep financing it, the inflation rate is going to rise and rise permanently. Did anything come up today?
Well, it did. Chairman Powell was challenged by myself and by a number of my Republican colleagues about the really extraordinarily accommodative monetary policy. I couldn't agree more with the points you were making, Larry. And of course, as you know, they can begin tapering. I hope they do. They should have long ago. And for many, many months, they'll still be in an overly accommodative mode, just not quite as accommodative as it is now. As you point out, a 32% expansion of the money supply, buying $120 billion worth of securities and keeping nominal rates at nearly zero. Real rates are negative in America. This is what you do in the peak of a dangerous emergency. We're not in that. We're using emergency measures long after the emergency has passed. I think it's very dangerous. I think it's very likely that this inflation is going to be a lot more severe and last a lot longer than the Fed's pretty poor projections.
Well, you know, if you permit me, Senator, I think you're one of the few who understands the interaction here between government spending and borrowing on the one side and the Fed on the other.
Right.
I don't think that nexus is, you know, given enough visibility in this story.
Right.
You know, the Fed's been doing its part by adding $4 trillion to their balance sheet. So let me just ask, I know you mentioned that it did come up today a bit. Did Jay Powell give any sense that he understands? Let me phrase it to you this way, sir. The issue of Fed independence, the Fed cannot be seen as a pushover, if you will, to these, you know, Democrat wish list federal spending programs. That would be a long-run catastrophe.
Yeah, and there was some limited discussion about the fact that the Fed's massive intervention in keeping interest rates artificially low creates an easy incentive to overspend because, I mean, even Secretary Yellen said that we shouldn't worry so much about debt as a percentage of GDP. You know, maybe it's large. So what? What matters is the cost of servicing that debt, which obviously overlooks the fact that the day will come when interest rates will normalize and the cost of servicing this mountain of debt is going to be enormous. I do want to make another point, though. There's something that I did bring up because I am concerned about the Fed being politicized in other ways and straying from their mission, especially the regional Feds. Larry, they have gone off on this whole campaign to address racial inequality and climate change and all kinds of things that have nothing to do with their mission and that are really social and cultural things. This is another good way to be seen as a political body, and that will undermine the independence of the Fed.
You know, a couple of months ago, Senator, Jay Powell issued a public statement. I think it was part of a speech. He may have been answering a question. He said that climate change would not play a role in monetary policy because it was not part of the Fed's legislated congressional mandate. And he said the Fed was independent from fiscal policy. I don't know whether he commented on any of that today, but to your point, the Fed is looking less and less independent, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's look, I think it has started to adopt some of the politics of the left, and they, you know, joined an international body dealing with greening the financial system as they describe it, and then the toleration of these regional banks, which I understand have some level of independence, but they've clearly strayed away from their basic mission. This, and I have made this point to the chairman, this will threaten the independence of the Fed if they continue down this road.
And no more stock trading by Federal Reserve Bank presidents or governors, I presume.
You know, this, at a minimum, there is a very, very disturbing appearance of a conflict of interest here, and that's something that we can't have at the Fed.
And Senator Toomey, now let's switch gears a little bit. We're talking a lot about borrowing and debt. There's movement in the Senate. Is Senator Schumer changing his view? the debt will be put into the reconciliation package, or what? It's happening so fast, I can't really keep track of it. So I've got you, a real live senator, in front of me. What's happening?
So Senator Schumer has not, to my knowledge, openly acknowledged the obvious and the inevitable. The Democrats want to engage in this wildly reckless, excessive spending exercise. They're going to drive a lot of additional borrowing, making that necessary because of all that spending. And they want Republicans to enable that. We've made it clear to him. He has the tools to do this himself. That's how he's doing all the spending. That's how he's going to do the tax increase. That's how he's going to have to do the debt ceiling increase. And that's where it'll end up, Larry. I just don't know how long it'll take before Senator Schumer acknowledges the inevitable.
What do you make in the House side? Apparently, the Progressive Caucus has decided that they will not vote for the infrastructure package unless the reconciliation package is put on the same rule or maybe the same night or something. But they're in full revolt. Ms. Pelosi, I think, is kind of running backwards at this point. How do you read all that? And is it going to affect the Senate battle? We haven't seen the tax bill from the Senate Finance Committee yet. We haven't seen the final budget bill either.
Correct. Look, we've got a serious battle going on between the left wing and the radical left wing, right? The people who openly describe themselves as socialist versus those who only really want to support socialist policy, but not too loudly. Look, I don't know how they resolve this, Larry. You look at some of the proposals coming out of Senate Democrats, like taxing unrealized capital gains. Can you imagine? The ideas they're coming up with are staggering. And I don't know how they resolve all this. I don't think they have it figured out yet either.
You know, Senator, we got to go. We appreciate your time. You must feel lonely. I mean, there you are, a free enterpriser, a free market capitalism, and you're surrounded. And I love your distinctions. You've got sort of socialists who are sometimes socialists on policy, and then you got the hardcore socialists who are always socialists. You know, I think Newt Gingrich is right. This is all about big government socialism versus free enterprise capitalism. I think Newt's got it right.
There's no question. That is exactly right. These folks really don't like capitalism. Some of them openly acknowledge that they are socialists and they want to be called that. Others would rather keep that a little bit quiet, but it's all about collectivizing America, undermining a free enterprise system. It's really bad.
Well, Senator Pat Toomey, you always have a home right here with Kudlow.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, sir.